Christian Dior was born on January 21, 1905, in the small coastal town of Granville, which is located in the Normandy region of northern France. His family was well off, with his father being a successful fertilizer merchant. Dior grew up in a beautiful house with a view of the sea, and it was here that he developed an early love for art. Although Dior was surrounded by beauty, his family had different plans for him. They wanted him to follow in his father's footsteps and work in business. But Dior had other dreams. He wanted to be an artist, and that dream led him on a journey that would change the world of fashion forever. As a child, Dior's interest in art and design grew stronger. He spent hours drawing and sketching fashion ideas. Even though his family did not support his creative ambitions, Dior remained determined. After high school, he went to the University of Paris to study political science, but it quickly became clear that his heart wasn't in politics. In his spare time, he continued to sketch and even sold some of his artwork to make a little money. He spent his free hours in art galleries, where he admired the works of famous artists like Monet and Van Gogh. After completing his studies, Dior found a job at a fashion house owned by a designer named Robert Piguet. This was Dior's first real step into the world of fashion. There, he learned how to design clothing and was mentored by Piguet. Dior's talent quickly became apparent, and he was known for his ability to create beautiful, elegant designs. His early work was very different from the fashion trends of the time, which were focused on simplicity and practicality due to the war. Dior, however, dreamed of making women feel special again through fashion. In 1941, Dior moved on to work for another famous designer, Lucien Lelong. At Lelong's house, Dior continued to develop his skills and began to make a name for himself as a talented young designer. However, after the war ended in 1945, Dior saw an opportunity to start his own fashion house. In December 1946, he opened the doors to his very own fashion house, Christian Dior, with the help of a wealthy textile manufacturer named Marcel Boussac. Dior's big break came just 1 year later in 1947, when he presented his first collection. This collection would become one of the most famous in fashion history. Christian Dior's first collection was called The New Look, and it was a complete departure from the simple, utilitarian clothes women had been wearing during World War II. During the war, fabric had been scarce, and clothing was often plain and practical. But after the war, Dior brought back glamour. His new look featured dresses with long, flowing skirts, tiny waists, and soft, rounded shoulders. The designs emphasized femininity and elegance, and they were a dramatic contrast to the military-style clothing that had been common during the war years. Women were captivated by Dior's designs, and his new look became an instant success. The collection made Dior one of the most famous designers in the world almost overnight. Dior's designs were luxurious and innovative, but they were also practical. He used fabrics that draped beautifully and created silhouettes that flattered women's figures. One of the most famous aspects of the new look was the silhouette it created: a full skirt and a very small waist. This look was in sharp contrast to the straight lines and boxy shapes that had been fashionable during the war. Dior's designs made women feel elegant and sophisticated again, and they were seen as a symbol of hope and renewal after the dark years of the war. Dior's success was not just about his beautiful clothes, it was also about his business acumen. He knew how to run a fashion house and how to sell his designs. Dior's work was not just about creating clothes. It was about creating a complete experience for women. He understood that fashion was about how a woman felt when she wore a dress, and he worked hard to make sure his designs made women feel powerful and beautiful. In addition to dresses, Dior also designed accessories like hats, shoes, and handbags. These accessories were carefully designed to complement his clothing. His attention to detail was one of the reasons his work was so admired. Each piece was carefully thought out, and every detail, from the fabric to the stitching, was made with precision and care. Dior's vision for fashion extended beyond just clothing. He created a world of beauty and elegance that women could step into when they wore his designs. As Dior's success grew, so did his influence. In the 1950s, he expanded his business and opened boutiques in major cities like New York, London, and Milan. His clothing was worn by some of the most famous women in the world, including Hollywood stars like Rita Hayworth and Grace Kelly, as well as members of royalty. Dior's name became synonymous with luxury, and his fashion house became a symbol of the height of sophistication. In 1955, Dior introduced his Miss Dior perfume, which was also an instant hit. The fragrance became another iconic product of the Dior brand. It was a perfect addition to the world Dior had created with his clothing. Over the years, the Dior brand expanded to include more perfumes, accessories, and even home decor. Dior's vision for his fashion house was not limited to clothing, it was about creating a lifestyle and a sense of luxury that people could embrace in every part of their lives. Sadly, Christian Dior's life was cut short. On October 24, 1957, he passed away from a heart attack at the age of 52. His death was a shock to the fashion world, as he was still at the height of his success. But even though Dior was no longer alive, his legacy lived on. After his death, his fashion house was taken over by his assistant, Yves Saint Laurent, who continued Dior's work and helped to shape the future of fashion. Under Saint Laurent's leadership, Dior's vision continued to grow, and the brand continued to be one of the most influential in the world. Christian Dior's influence on fashion can still be seen today. His designs helped shape the modern fashion industry, and his name remains one of the most famous in the world of luxury fashion. The new look he created in 1947 is still seen as one of the most important moments in fashion history. Even today, the Dior brand is known for its elegance, sophistication, and attention to detail. Dior's vision for fashion was to make women feel beautiful and powerful, and that vision has continued to inspire generations of designers and fashion lovers. Christian Dior's story is one of passion, creativity, and determination. He faced many challenges in his life but never gave up on his dreams. His legacy continues to live on, and his designs continue to inspire new generations of fashion lovers all over the world. Dior's story is a reminder that with hard work, dedication, and a little bit of creativity, you can change the world.